Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Monchkinz Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Monchkinz logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video we're going to be concentrating on the new lost chapter that we received recently, and it's going to be on Thancred. And this will concentrate on Part 9 hard mode, which is the last one and of course the hardest one. And if you guys didn't notice, it is our first level 100 quest, but don't let that intimidate you because they actually nerfed this one for the global version. So it's not as hard as the Japanese version, and honestly I feel like they nerfed it quite a lot. So don't be intimidated by the level 100 quest. Go ahead and give it a try, and without further ado, let's get on with this video. Okay, as you guys know, we will start off this video with the abilities, resistances, and weaknesses of the boss, which is the Sand Kraken. Now, I actually covered this in my previous video about when Thancred came out, but I will just quickly go over it again. So, it does have quite a few weaknesses, which are thunder, water, and wind elements. It doesn't have any resistances, so that's a good thing for us. As for its ability, it has access to Sand Shot, which is the Earth Brave magic attack, Wallop, which is the melee HP attack. It does have Stone, but we will be seeing Stonera more often, which is an Earth Brave magic attack, which delays the target by 2 turns. It has Sand Flurry 1, which grants initial Brave Up, Max Brave Up, and Speed Up to itself. You actually won't see this is not a frame buff, so it'll be like a innate buff as soon as it uses it. It does take it off by using Harmonic Resolution, which cancels Sand Flurry, initial Brave Up, Max Brave Up, and Speed Up, which I don't know why it would do that, but whatever. It has Suffocating Wind, which is a Brave magic attack, and this also inflicts speed down. It has access to Dance of Tentacles and Tentacle Explosions, which are both melee brave attack plus HP attack. And that's it for the abilities. It's now time for the general tips and guide. And of course, if you're new to this channel and this is your first EX, my first tip for you is to save about 90% of your abilities on the boss. This is pretty important, especially in Lost Chapter, and especially for this one being the first level 100 quest that we receive. However, if you're watching this in the future, you probably will have it a lot easier, since in about a week or a couple of days time we will get the new awakened characters, which are 6 new characters that will get their level 60. So it will probably make it a lot easier to do this fight. As for my next tip is to obviously bring in the boosted characters such as Thancred, Ida, and Stola. However, if you don't have them leveled up, or you don't have their weapons and you don't think they're very good, other characters that you may consider to bring are Terra, of course, which is our queen of DPS at this point in time. Sephiroth is still pretty good. Cloud is decent, especially if you can get his paralyze hacks. Lightning Vincent can take advantage of the thunder weakness for the boss. Firion is there as well because he is awakened at this point in time. Vaughn can take advantage of the wind element, however he does suffer from low amount of ability usage. And then next I have Rydia here, and I didn't write her because it didn't really fit, but Garnet can be put in there as well. Rydia can give you a buff that can turn your normal attacks into water element, so you can take advantage of that weakness. And then Garnet can debuff it further with her ability. And finally, of course, we have the God Saz. For my next tip, this is actually concerning healers. For this particular fight, they are optional. There is no mission where you have to have a certain amount of damage for this one, so you don't have to bring a healer if you don't want to. I believe brave batteries are probably more worth it bringing, and the ones I mentioned here are Y'shtola, Yuna, which she will be getting her level 60 awakening soon. Can probably do a better job than Y'shtola, but I feel like Y'shtola actually does quite well in this particular scenario. Aiko and Kryle as well. I believe Kryle is a good one to have here. She has a thunder ability and can also do a brave battery job. However, I don't think a lot of people actually have a good Kryle, so I would skip it if you don't have her. You can just use the ones that I mentioned before. As for these summons, there are quite a lot of variety of summons that you can actually bring here. I still like Ifrit because of the 20% extra attack. Brothers is there if you want more brave. Leviathan obviously can take advantage of the weakness, and so is Ramo. I do notice that some people actually use Pandemonium as well, especially if you are planning to bring Lael, which I didn't mention in the characters to bring, but I can't mention all the characters, guys. So if you think I missed anything, or you think someone really is a good fit for this particular fight, you just leave it down in the comments below. Now the next couple of tips are going to be more concentrating on the fight itself. The first one is for me to actually use the summon before they use Sand Flurry. The reason for this is to avoid the boss obviously having their buff up before you use your summon. While you can save your summon for a much more tighter, I suppose, when you're in trouble and you can, you know, use it and get as much turns as you can, go ahead and you can do that. But I just like summoning before they actually use their buffs and pretty much do all the most damage I can. Now for this particular team, I did have Y'shtola, so summoning earlier on was really the best choice for me, so I can like dish out as much damage as I can. But obviously this may differ for you guys depending on your setup, but I'm just saying I just like it when I do a lot of damage before they actually use their buffs. So just keep that in mind. You can use it later on if you really want to. The next one is kind of a obvious thing, but I think this is quite essential, and that's to keep the bosses broken, because it's quite hard to predict when they're gonna use the Dance of Tentacles or the Tentacle Explosion. There's really no indication. Obviously they will use Stonera for a few turns, at least that's how I noticed it, and they will use Suffocating Winds as well, but I can't really figure out when they're actually gonna use the Dance of Tentacle or the Tentacle Explosion. So it is quite important for you to actually do this. So even though they decide that they will use it, at least you can avoid getting killed. The next one is to pay attention to the turn order, and this is important. Not only in this fight, but actually in the rest of the EX fights, you do have to pay attention. But it's more prominent here because of the boss's ability to push your turn basically two turns back. So because of Stonera, it's very important for you to actually see, okay, this character is gonna get hit by Stonera here, will push back here. Will I have enough brave damage in order to basically break this boss? So just pay attention to that. The final tip I have for you guys is to actually kill the boss one by one. There's no point in separating the damage. You maybe, if you want to do a bit of a debuff on the other one as well, like a speed debuff down. So That's the only time that I would really suggest that you actually damage the other one. The right one is actually a higher level than the left one, so you can kill the right one first. At least I like to do so, kill the hardest one and then get rid of the easier one. And that's basically it for my general tips and guides. It's now time to look at the possible party compositions. Now for the first one, as always, it will be the synergy characters, which are Thancred, Ida, and Y'shtola. You can bring Saz, Terra, or another Y'shtola as your support with an Ifrit summon. Ifrit summon here, it can be interchangeable, but this is pretty self-explanatory. Thancred's really good here because of his poison debuff. Basically, even if the Sandkraken recovers, they're still gonna get hit with a brave damage during that turn, which means you'll have less chance of dying. Y'shtola is there for the brave battery, and that's basically her main job. Ida here is probably the most replaceable character. You can replace Ida here with other DPS characters. Doesn't have to be Ida, so she is quite interchangeable. For the next one I have is basically, this was my team, which is Terra, Y'shtola, and Sephiroth. Like I said, Ida was replaceable, and so I replaced it with Sephiroth. In this particular case, I did bring a Terra support, but you can also bring an Y'shtola support as well. And this was done with an Ifrit summon. Basically, what happens here is I kept on the final wave where you fight the boss, Terra is there, and Y'shtola basically will use stone to get as much brave as she can. If you have her 15 CP stone boost ability, then you know, the better it will be. And basically I swap Sephiroth out with another Terra and basically use Ifrit and basically use Medica 2 and just use HP attack until one of them died. The next one I have here is a Terra Rydia plus a DPS composition, and the DPS can be Saz as well. Since he can buff your Rydia, it's probably gonna be a lot better with a Saz, but you can have a DPS here as well. And this is with a Terra support, which I think this composition really revolves around Rydia using her buff in order for you to do a lot more brave damage. So that is the main idea for this particular composition. So there's really not much to explain. However, if you don't have Rydia, then you can replace her with Garnet as well. It's really up to you guys, but I feel like Rydia is probably the best one rather than Garnet. The final one that I have here is with a Terra Lael plus Rydia / Garnet composition. Now Lael, I like Lael, however I never had any luck with getting his 35 CP. Basically this is a chase down sequence of fight. Basically you use Lael to basically chase as much as possible, and then obviously Rydia is there for the buff, or your Garnet for the debuff. Personally I still like Rydia better than Garnet, so it's pretty self-explanatory. You've probably been doing this with the Zack event as well, so you will get a higher score with a lot of the chase sequence. And if basically all my party composition doesn't work out for you, there is always the Holy Trinity, which consists of a tank, DPS, and a healer. This is probably the safer route. You can have Edge, it's probably the best one because you can take advantage of the Thunder weakness. And if you're lucky enough, you can probably dodge the Dance of Tentacles or the Tentacle Explosion. However, you won't be able to get away too much with the Stonera. I mean, there's still a chance that they will miss, especially with the evasion up, but If you do get hit, that's a little bit of a problem. But in any case, DPS wise, you can bring anyone that your strongest DPS, and of course for healers, you can just bring any of the good healers that you have. And I think that's it for the party composition. Now, what are my final thoughts of this fight? Well, like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, this fight can be quite intimidating. Having 5 waves and basically 2 mini bosses plus 2 bosses at the end. It does sound very intimidating, but trust me, it's not as bad as you think it is. I initially thought that this was gonna be a pretty difficult fight, but they did nerf it around to accommodate in the global server. So if you're thinking I can't do this, I say go ahead and give it a shot, because if you are using a lot of the awakened characters, there is a high chance that you will actually beat this fight. Now, especially when new awakened characters are coming out in the next week, or this week or next week, you will still have plenty of chances to actually get all the rewards that you can, and those high shards are the prize for this fight basically. Also, I know that the game is basically forcing you to have the main character, or for that particular lost chapter, to be in your party, and I would guess it will start doing this. However, you can just bring that character and let that character die, and basically do that mission, and then do another attempt without that character in order for you to get the high score that you need. So I know it's basically like doing the fight twice, but trust me, it's all worth it. And if for whatever reason that you couldn't carry and you died towards the end, you can just use 100 gems to revive yourself, and basically the reward that you're gonna get is a lot more than 100 gems, so it's all well and worth it in the end. So I think that's it for this video, guys. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys, so like always, I want to hear your team, your summon, and your strategy down in the comments below. And if you think I missed anything, you can always leave it down, and if I find it very interesting and really helpful for the community, I will always try and pin that comment down if I didn't already mention it. You know, sometimes I do remember stuff after I finish editing the video. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. And let's try, as for the likes, let's try for the 20 likes again. I don't think a lot of people are actually watching my Zac EX fight, so if you guys have any friends that you think are struggling, or they say this is pretty hard, please share that video as well, because I'm aiming for 25 likes for that one, but I don't think it's getting to that range. So for this particular video, I'm gonna tone it down again, go for 20 likes, and I think that's it, guys. This is Monchkinz logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.